So you've seen it, right? It's literally everywhere, in your coffee shop, in skin creams. It feels like it just popped up out of nowhere. But what is CBD, really? We're going to cut through all the noise and give you the essential facts. Let's dive in.
I mean, it seriously feels like one day you'd never even heard of the stuff, and the next, they're asking if you want a shot of it in your latte. It's even being woven into workout clothes. So the big question we're tackling is, what's the real story behind all this marketing?
All right, let's start with the absolute basics. We're going to strip away all the hype for a second and just get right to what this stuff actually is. Okay, so the official name is cannabidiol, or CBD for short, and it's a compound that comes from the cannabis plant. But here's the most important part. It's usually derived from the hemp plant, which is kind of like marijuana's cousin. And unlike its famous relative, THC, CBD does not get you high.
And this right here, this is probably the biggest reason people get confused. So let's make it super simple. CBD comes from hemp, THC, for the most part, comes from marijuana. CBD is not psychoactive, THC is. And, a huge difference, thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp-derived CBD is legal in a lot of places, while THC is still federally controlled. They're just in two totally different worlds.
And it's not just us saying this. Check this out. The World Health Organization itself says that in humans, pure CBD doesn't show any signs of being addictive or having abuse potential. That's a really big deal and a key reason it's become so widely accepted. So if it doesn't get you high and it seems pretty safe, then what's all the excitement about? Why is everyone talking about it? Well, let's get into the promise of CBD and all the reasons for the hype. These four are the big ones. These are the main reasons people are turning to CBD. They're hoping it can help with anxiety, just calm them down a bit, or help them get a better night's sleep, or maybe ease some of that chronic pain that just won't go away. Some are even looking at it to help with addiction. I mean, these are huge, life-altering issues, so it's no wonder that a potential new solution is creating so much buzz. But a promise and actual proof, those are two very, very different things. So now let's switch gears from the hype and talk about the hard evidence. What does the science actually say? What do we know for sure? And, well, the answer might actually surprise you. Right now, there is exactly one. Just one. That's the number of cannabis-derived, CBD-based medicines that has passed all the rigorous testing to get full FDA approval here in the US. It's a drug called Epidiolex, and its approval is for treating some very severe and rare forms of epilepsy in children. So as you can see, the level of proof is, well, it's all over the map. For that specific type of epilepsy, the evidence is rock solid. It's FDA approved. For anxiety and insomnia, we're starting to see some promising studies in humans. But for chronic pain and addiction, the research is much earlier, mostly in animal studies with only a little bit of human data. The science is really just trying to catch up to all the hype. In this gap between what people are hoping for and what's been proven, that leads us straight to the catch. Because before you even think about buying a CBD product, there are some very real risks and regulatory issues you absolutely have to know about. Okay, so even though it's generally considered safe, it's not totally without side effects. Some people might experience things like nausea, fatigue, or just feeling irritable. But what's really important is that it can interfere with other medications. Think of it like grapefruit juice. It can mess with how your liver processes certain drugs. This is super critical if you're on something like blood thinners, because it could be really dangerous. Which, brings us to a huge question. When you grab a bottle of CBD oil off the shelf, who's actually checking to make sure that what's on the label is what's in the bottle? Who's making sure it's safe and pure?
And yeah, the answer is pretty unsettling. Because most CBD is sold as a dietary supplement, the FDA doesn't really regulate its safety and purity before it hits the market. So what you're buying might not have the amount of CBD it claims, or worse, it could have other things in it you don't know about.
So how do you protect yourself? This is the single most important thing to know. Look for a certificate of analysis, or a COA. It's basically a lab report from an independent third-party lab that proves what's in the product. Any good, reputable company will have this easily available. If you can't find one for a product, my advice, find a different product. Okay, let's bring it all together and get to the bottom line here. It's time to weigh all that potential we talked about against the very real pitfalls of the market, as it is right now. First things first, be a smart consumer. Some companies have gotten into a lot of trouble for making these wild, crazy claims. If you ever see a product claiming that CBD is a cure-all for something serious like cancer or COVID-19, just run the other way. That is absolutely not supported by science. So what's the takeaway? If you're going to remember anything, let it be these three things. Number 1, CBD does show real promise for things like anxiety, sleep, and pain, but the research is still coming in. 2, the market is kind of the Wild West. What you see on the label isn't always what you get, so you have to do your own research. And 3, and this is the most important one, always, always talk to your doctor before trying it. They know your health history and can help you figure out if it's a safe choice for you.
So that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? We've got this compound that has some genuine potential, but it's floating around in this unregulated space filled with a ton of unknowns. So how do you weigh those possible benefits against all the risks? Ultimately, that's a personal call, but it's one you should make with caution, a little bit of research, and definitely a conversation with a professional.